Well, I just want to share a little bit of my recovery journey, my experience in my life, in hopes that it will help someone else out there. I was raised in a very good family. I was raised very structured. They're strict, they're very loving. God was the focus of our family. We went to church 3 times a week. So God was a part of my life growing up. As I got older, I just felt like I was missing out. I wanted to experience life. I want to do my own thing. I felt I had a lot of insecurities. So the people I more hung out with were the ones partying. I felt more comfortable with them. So in my late teens, I started like trying substances, alcohol, different things. I kind of moved out on my own, started doing my own thing. My independence was very important to me. So, I always had a job, my own place. Um, but I did a lot of partying, but I was able to balance it very well in my 20s. Balance everything. I worked hard, partied hard. It was pretty easygoing. I ended up forming a habit once I started doing opiates in about my mid 20s. My The opiates made me feel more comfortable in my own skin. I felt like I could socialize better. I could deal with people better, my job better. So my habit grew in my 20s, my 30s. My habit kind of graduated. I had to do more, a little more challenging, juggling everything. I started, experimenting with harder drugs. There were times in my 30s where I started praying to God because before that, He was just, kind of on the back shelf. It's not that I didn't believe in Him. It was just, I was raised in church so much, and God was the talk of everything, and it wasn't real to me. Like, it was just kind of things church people said, my parents said. It wasn't real to me. So in my 30s, I did reach out to God a little bit, wanted to do better in my life, but then I get sucked back into doing more drugs, harder drugs, and things just kind of came to a head in 2018. This is when I kind of started adding meth to the mix. Before that, I was able to juggle everything pretty well, but meth just kind of changed everything. It changed my mentality. It changed just like I wasn't able to keep up with my job of 6 years. So I lost that, and everything just kind of started plummeting. But I felt like I was on top of the world. Even though my life was going in shambles, I felt like I was on top of the world, and I thought it was great, a great experience. But things just got worse. So I kind of got forced into recovery in 2019. So 2019 is when my recovery journey began. I actually left where I was living and moved to Springfield, Missouri, left everything, got into sober living, got into higher ground. It was a rough year. Let's just put it that way. I loved High Life Church, higher ground. I just felt like accepted, like I was with a lot of people that, were experiencing the same things as me. But that year was pretty rough. So I kind of was feeling back to like feeling very raw, very vulnerable, very insecure. My insecurities were back because I didn't have substances to, make everything mellow. So it was rough, but I was really trying. I was really trying to see about this sobriety thing, see how this is going to work out. And I learned a lot of good things. Was again hearing a lot about God and everything, but I ended up relapsing. It was just kind of met some people at a job I was starting, and I relapsed. And I would say that that relapse was the most miserable time of my life. It wasn't like before. There was no on top of the world. It was completely different. I ended up just feeling very empty, depleted, hopeless. I mean, I can't even express in words exactly how miserable I was. I honestly just wanted to die. I got kicked out of the sober living house I was in, and things just got worse. And it was one morning, and it was like right after Father's Day of 2020. I was sick, going through withdrawals, waiting for some fentanyl to show up, and it was just like I call this my God, a God moment. Like I feel like, and it was like a light bulb went off. He was like, it was just like, what are you doing here? Like, like go get back in sober living. What about God? What about what about, why are you here? And like, I had enough money to get back in entry fee back into sober living. So I left, like, and that's a miracle in itself. If you've ever been through opiate withdrawals, you're not thinking about getting sober. Like maybe when you get well again, then you might make a plan. But like this to me was like it had to have been God. I know 100% it was God, and I just left and I got back into sober living, and I was like, I'm trying this God thing. Like it has to be real to me. Like, I mean, I just felt like at this point in my life, there was nothing out there. I've experienced a lot, and it was just like, there is nothing out there for me anymore. Like, this has to be real. Like, God has to be real. So I was like, I'm going to do whatever it takes. I'm going to figure out who God is. Like, what all this church stuff that people have said, like, I'm going to figure this out. Like, and so that's what I did. Like, I surrendered my life to God, and I feel like I kind of started from scratch, like trying to figure out who God was, what was important in life. And I really took a look at myself because the change had to start with me. Uh, that's, and God began to show me, things that need to change in my life. And I didn't change overnight. Like change takes time, and God's really only going to change what you want him to change. Like it's free will. So, like it might take time, might take prayer, effort, like you're going to fail, but you got to get back up and keep trying. It's kind of like my story. So I feel like I am in God's repair shop, and I hope I'm in it for the rest of my life, and I'm getting all new parts, but he has really helped me with my mind, like how I view things, my perception, how I see myself, how I see others. And 'cause it all starts with all of that. And he's teaching me how to love others. He gives me a joy every day that it only comes from him. It can only come from him. An inner peace, that inner peace like you can't get from anywhere else. Once you start your journey with God, the darkness doesn't just go away. It, it's still there, and it's going to try and knock you off your square. But as much as there is a darkness, there is most certainly a light, and you got to reach for that light every single day. Every day is a choice. My journey with God has shown me so many things, but you got to be willing to look at yourself on a daily basis, reflect on yourself on a daily basis, and talk to God about it. And he'll show you the things that you can do better in. He'll show you the things that you should do differently, but you got to be willing to swallow that pride and ask him and want to do better. And it's a daily choice. We have to choose daily what we're going to do, who we want to be, and he guides us. He's there, and him doing that and him being there, you just get an inner peace, and he's given me a joy and just a happiness and a contentment. I never felt content in my past. Like there was nothing that made me feel content, but I'm like content now and just steady. And I owe all that to God. And, I wouldn't say my life is just Skittles and rainbows now. You're going to have bad days and good days, but um, I wouldn't change it for anything. And I want to stay in his repair shop for the rest of my life and be connected with him for the rest of my life. So I just wanted to share my experience. If there's a lot out there, and a lot of people don't know if God is real. I wouldn't be here if he wasn't. I wouldn't be saying any of this if he wasn't. You'll just have to experience him for yourself because he is real and he is a God of love and he loves us.